My first paycheck from YouTube came in. It was around $302. I remember going to the bank, then I withdrew that dollars, I took it home, I laid on it, it was crazy. For the first time in my life, I saw my father, that I know to be a military person, cry and sob like a baby. And then I made a huge amount the next month. I remember waking up to my AdSense account, reading over. I went from working as a security guard, earning 22,000 Naira a month, to over 25 million Naira in 4 years, while going to school as a Uniben student. Not revenue, full profits. I rented my first apartment and built my dream deck setup, studio setup that I'm using to film this content that you see right now. And all of my 6 siblings are living with me in this apartment in love and harmony. But my journey is the direct opposite of what I have today. It's the most painful and teary journey you can ever think of. The goal of this video is not to flaunt wealth. And if you've watched my videos before, you know I'm someone that doesn't even talk about money at all on this YouTube channel. I'm from Cross River State, the south part of Nigeria, Nkpani village to be precisely, and I'm the firstborn of my father, Uket Eta. We moved to Lagos in 2011 for greener pastures. My father works as a civil servant in Nigeria. We lived in a one-room apartment in the Shasha area of Lagos State, Alimosho. If you know that place, please type it down in the comments. We could barely feed. In fact, my dad's salary could barely feed us. And in the way for my mom to actually support my dad so that the family can move forward, we started hawking granuts. And I hawked around the Dokpemun, Yanopaja, Agege, Orisumbari axis, even in Cotton area. You know, thinking about it right now makes me feel really emotional. I was determined to make sure that the status of the family actually changes, and I decided that I'm going to go to school. But something happened in school that flipped the switch in my head. So back in school, I squatted with a friend because I had nothing to my name. So I was squatting with this friend, but something crazy happened that flipped the switch completely. One day, we were in school and we hadn't eaten anything for like 3 days straight. In fact, we were laying on the bed for 3 days straight. No money to buy water to bathe, no money to even feed, no money to do anything, and we didn't go to lectures all through that day. It was from Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So on a Sunday morning, we were just seated outside, and this young man walked up to us and said, "Why are you guys just seated there as if you just lost someone precious to you?" We couldn't laugh, even though the joke was funny. 60 cl, 6 bottles of Coke that very day. I downed everything. And after a while, my friend got drunk. Somehow tears started falling off my eyes. That experience taught me one thing. I said, if I'm going back home this time around for the break, I'm going to look for something to make money. I'm tired of this life. I'm tired of everything. And if nothing happens, I'm not coming back to this school. That was my desire. So the next day, I picked up my phone and I called my dad. I said, "Dad, I want you to help me look for a job. I'm coming back home and my holiday will last at least 6 to 7 months. So just get me a job. I want to start working so that I can start helping myself. This suffering is just too much." So I got back home, and after 3 days, I started the job immediately. It was a security job for a company that produces noodles in Lagos. So we were to man the gates for the accommodation aspect of these people. So I was paid 22,000 Naira per month. My first day at work, I was just seated under a tree, just reminiscing about life, thinking about the things I want to do with my life. And I was praying seriously and desperately for an idea that would change my life. And all of a sudden, something dropped in my spirit: blogging. I became restless. And at the time in 2019/2020, I didn't know what blogging was, so I decided to pick up my phone and Google what blogging was, and I started watching YouTube videos. And there, a fire was lit up in my spirit. It's like I had found that jewel that was missing in my life. It's like I had found that something that God has created me to do. I didn't have an idea about how the thing works. I didn't have an idea how to build a website. I didn't have an idea of how to publish articles online and drive traffic, make money, Google AdSense, all of those things. I had no idea. But I knew within me, there was this confirmation in my spirit that God had answered my prayers. And so I stayed up late at night watching videos. And the next morning, 5 a.m., I got back home and I shared the idea with my mom. And I told her, please, can you do me a favor? Borrow me 15,000 naira, and my sister will borrow me 5,000 naira. I will combine that and add it to my 22,000 naira and get a laptop. They all agreed, and I got that laptop at the end of the month without thinking what to eat during those 30 days, and everything was just messed up. But I got that laptop, and there the journey began. I became obsessed with YouTube. I became obsessed with building websites. I became obsessed with everything that has to do with blogging. I started writing articles. I ventured into poetry. I ventured into writing content. I ventured into copywriting. I ventured into web design. I kept watching. In fact, in a day, I watched more than 10 YouTube videos. And the YouTube videos I'm talking about are 6 to 7 hours long tutorials just teaching me how to build websites. So I started posting about that I could fix this on your site, I could fix that on your site. If your site is having errors, I could actually help you fix it. And I started getting gigs, 5,000, 10,000 naira, 20,000 naira from people online. And that's where it started clicking for me. I knew if this thing could make me 5,000 naira, then it could make me 20 million. Then it could make me 10 million. Then it could make me 5 million. When I thought that everything was about becoming fine, the worst thing in my life happened. I lost the one person that was really a fan of the thing I was doing then, because my mom used to give me 100 naira to be able to afford data subscription at night, Airtel subscription, night subscription. So basically, I was working all through the night. I lost her to the cold hands of death on August 2020. It was the worst period of my life. Like, my mom woke up on a Sunday morning and by 4 p.m. she was gone. For the first time in my life, I saw my father, that I know to be a military person, cry and sob like a baby. I saw my siblings. I said, does it mean that these kids are going to grow up without a mother? Does it mean that I'm actually going to grow up without a mother? And at the time, I was 22 years old. It was really tough period for my family. I knew something had to change right there, right there. I knew something about my life had to change. I knew I had to make this thing work. Now, the person supporting my dad to take care of my siblings is gone. It means I have to step up and do something for myself. 3 days down the line, I bought my first lavalier microphone and I started making videos. And that was when I created this particular YouTube channel you are watching right now. But prior to that, I had already created Kingdom Echoes. Many of you do not know that by the grace of God, I'm the person running Kingdom Echoes. I was the one that created that channel in 2020. So we got back to Lagos and needed to go for Thanksgiving for the success of the burial. And at the time, I didn't used to go to church. I didn't have a pastor. But I was a firm believer of Christ. I was praying, I was fasting, but I didn't have a local assembly where I attended service. So while at that service, the Holy Ghost spoke to me. He said, go to the altar and drop 50,000 naira. I said, I don't have any money. He said, go there and pledge 50,000 naira. It was crazy. And at the time we had just finished the burial, there was nothing left, like nothing left. The only thing left in the house was the food the neighbors were able to buy for us to eat. That was the only thing left in the house. And my dad was still in the village. It was a very crazy moment. I remember at the time, I was still working my job, 22,000 naira per month. Now, how am I going to be able to get this money and pledge? Now, if I'm able to, let's say, sacrifice my 3 month salary to be able to do that in January, how do I resume school? So all of these questions were living rent-free in my head. What I did was, my November salary, December and January, I combined everything and I dropped it in the church. I remember the day I dropped that money on the altar and I was walking away, tears fell down my eyes. Sincerely speaking, I was crying like a baby. Why was I crying? My dad is here. There is no one to support him. Why am I dropping 50,000 naira on the altar and walking away when I know going to school will be the hardest thing of my life? After dropping that money, it was like a weight left me and another one came upon me. But there was one thing for sure, I trust God. So I resumed school that same month with 7,000 naira. And that was where I made sure that the cycle must break. And I told myself, I'm not going back home for the next 2 years. I must make this thing work. And that's where it clicked. I kept posting YouTube videos on Kingdom Echoes platform. I kept building websites for people. And something led to another. I started making 100,000 naira, 200,000 naira, 500,000 naira. And something crazy happened. My first paycheck from YouTube came in. It was around $302. I remember going to the bank. Then I withdrew that dollars. I took it home. I laid on it. It was crazy. I laid on it. And that night, I made sure not to pray so that I don't hear from God saying, take this money and go give it to somebody else. And that's where the beginning of a new dawn started, 2022. And then I made a huge amount the next month. I remember waking up to my AdSense account reading over $2,000. And then it moved to $2,800. I remember always in class, I'll be refreshing my analytics to see. It was a crazy moment for me. Then God smiled on me. Then I went deeper into faceless content. I started posting faceless content. And that was why the thing grew exponentially. I just don't want to make this story too long for you guys, but I hope you get the point. Now let me break down the income streams that actually made me money. Number one was web design. Web design took me from 0 to over 500,000 naira. And faceless content took me from 500,000 naira to over 25 million naira. And that's why till today, me and faceless content no dey go anywhere. So that was it. And yeah, I still do video editing on the side for clients, and I still do Instagram promotions on Kingdom Echoes, and that brings in over 10 million naira per year, to say over 10 million naira per year just on Instagram promotions. And I'm sitting here today because I want you to know one thing. Making money online is not a get rich quick scheme. It is actually going to take a lot of time and effort and investment on your part for it to work. Whenever you hear people that talk about making money online and tell you you can start making money while you sleep, run away from those people. Yes, it is a possibility. At this stage that I am right now, I can decide not to post content for the next 3 months and still be making money from all of my businesses. But it is a stage that you actually have to get to. And getting to that stage is a lot of work. It is a lot of work. If you love my story and you want to be able to make money either with web design or faceless content creation, I have a link down at the description below. Book a one-on-one call with me. Remember, it is not free. But if you want other content around faceless content or web design, drop it down in the comments below. But if you want me to coach you one-on-one, click the link down in the description below and I will be there to respond to you. And if you like this video, subscribe to the channel. You don't want to miss the next content that is coming out. It's crazy.